Hey guys, how's it going? January 31st, 2020. And we're coming to the end of a month. And this could be. I've said this before, and I've been. People have made bets with me or said, well, yeah, but you'll be back, Sean. You always are. I'll give you so much time, you'll be back. Sometimes they're right, and the only reason why they're right is because I haven't been able to find something to replace it. And that's the truth. Now, I'm not going to go on and start bashing Run8 or anything like that because I have no reason to bash Run8. This isn't anything to do with Run8, really. Run8 is Run8. Outside of Run8 or within Run8, there's a community. And that community is basically going to live or die. It's going to grow, it's going to prosper, or it's going to die. And there's strengths and weaknesses of Run8, but the fact of the matter is nothing. When you don't have competition, and I don't think Run8 has any serious competition. I don't consider what I see with Train Sim World and the other train simulators. I don't see competition. I see eye candy games that are meant to hook people on running their choo-choos or build their trains or be creative or whatever. And then I'm not I shouldn't bash other programs, but it's Run8 is so much better in my opinion than those other pieces of software. When I went from Microsoft Train Simulator, which is still alive today, by the way, and the reason why it's alive is community. They have pushed a abandonware product, created a programming community that took it from the ashes and still made it something relevant years, much longer than it should have ever been there. And it's still around. As far as I know, anyways, the last I heard. Train Sim is still a forum. Run8 is just this little small section. So what's made that alive, or what's made that relevant, is community. What I've said for probably almost all of 2019 is the Run8 community is dying. I have tried to say it on Train Sim, and I met with, this and that, and oh, yeah, no, Run8's alive and well, and everything is great. I've heard excuses over the years, like when things slowed down in the summer, oh, it's the time of year, people are wanting to go on vacation, blah, blah, blah. And then here we are in the middle of winter. And I had a wake-up call on Sunday. And that was, I went on the Southwest server. I wasn't signed up to dispatch because technically I'm not a dispatcher with them anymore. They didn't even have enough people, including myself, to just dispatch the entire railroad of AI trains, let alone do anything. It was canceled almost immediately. Mike's on vacation now. And he was a week previous from not having a session because he wanted to actually have time to watch a football game. And so this week I said, I tried to take it into my own hands. I said, I need to find something. I need to find something that's mine. I've been saying that for a long time, and I've been looking, and I've tried different things. I've tried different things outside. The funny thing is, my son and I, we have a lot in common. We like a lot of the same things. The one thing we didn't agree on was Run8, despite the fact that we love trains. He's never really been into Run8, whereas I am. I still am into Run8. The problem is, I can't do it alone. If I was to do anything alone, the only thing I could do alone in Run8 is if there was a way to do a small region, have the spawn points, just a small area, and just give myself, something relatively small that might bring in a few people, have AI, maybe a few other things, but just something like really, really small and manageable. Something that maybe two or three of us could do. But I don't want just a short line. I want something where you can actually run a train for a little bit. I was running on, was it it wasn't Sunday, sorry. It was during the week. I started running this one train up the hill. Now, I was kind of relaxed and all, and then I was thinking to myself, man, I still got a long ways to get to Bakersfield. But the closest spawn point was probably where I came out of, which was Sanborn. Or the next spawn point down towards Bakersfield would have been just outside of Bakersfield. There was no happy middle. If I went to the northeast, I could do that, but Smiley's got a northeast server, and I don't really want to touch on that because I support Smiley, and I didn't really want to do a northeast server. So, besides a lot of the northeast, I'm not a big fan of. It's relatively as beautiful as it is. It operationally can get very boring. So there's not much single trackage. It's a lot of double track. It just defeats the whole small atmosphere of trying to run something small because it's part of a Chicago line. It's part of a major artery from the East Coast to Chicago. So once again, they've always targeted these bigger regions. This is what Run8 has always targeted. They've always wanted something big that had big railroads in it. And yes, they've recently done Trona. You can say, well, okay, well, Trona, but see, Trona's the exact opposite. Now you go down from a Class 1 transcontinental, now you're going to a short line. So you've gone from the exact opposite. There's a lot of Class 1s that aren't transcontinentals that may have much less traffic and aren't as big, maybe just a subdivision long, you name it. There's a lot of options out there. But anyways, so my son's upstairs right now. He's just visiting, and I just went on to. I'll just show you a couple things. Here's Run8 servers. Now, I've been hearing rumors of a lot of these servers not doing too well. I can tell you two of these servers that I know specifically. This is Smiley's server, which is, if people would use it, I can see it taking off. The problem is the Northeast, as I said, it's not that popular. And if people would go in and use it, there's a lot of switching available. There's a lot of trains that are running in it. It's running 24/7. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it just seems like nobody does any local work, and just the hump just bogs up. And I mean, Smiley does what he can when he can, basically, on it. Scott's been on it a few times. Speaking of Scott, here's Scott's SMRI. That's dead. I'm not even sure. Scott, if you're watching this, you might as well just delete it from here, because I don't even think you exist, do you? You don't have anything going on. His server's not up. Mine I took down a long time ago. There's two other servers that are up here. The Southwest server, which is the former RTS Southwest server. The Southeast server, which is a new server. That's not to be confused with the RTS Southeast server. This is a new server that came up. I don't know what happened to the RTS Southeast server. I don't even know where it is. I don't even know if it exists anymore, to be quite honest. So I have no idea, but the former RTS Southeast server, as far as I know, has been gone, or at least went totally private. Now I hear some people have little clubs and all this other crap. Whatever. I mean, if they have clubs and want to do their own thing, so be it. I mean, but that's not a sense of, I mean, it's a sense of community in a way, but having little clubs and not having your doors open. Any club I've ever belonged to always looked for new members. So if they're not advertising for new members and they're just doing their own thing, hey, whatever keeps them happy, but that's not community. So you got these two here, the Depot and Highball. These are very popular servers. I hear, from what I understand, they're not as busy as they used to be either. Atlantic Pacific, I don't know much about it, and I don't have Facebook, so I don't really give a rat's ass. That's all I have to say about that. It could be great, it could be not. I don't know. Maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. I don't know nothing about it. If they don't have a website, don't care. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but I don't know what it's about. And, more details, like, okay, TeamSpeak server, all this other stuff, Facebook. Well, here, this tells you. Prototypical operation, that's good. And then they got Facebook, and please join our Facebook group. Well, I don't have Facebook, so guess I'm not joining. I posted this over on the Southwest forums, Southwest Rails simulations forums. Feel free to check it out if you want. It just, in summary, basically takes basically what my week was like. And, this past week, I can honestly say that I've had some of the best sleep in my life. Or not best sleep in my life, sorry. Let me take that back. Best sleep in years. I've had some insomnia issues. Now, it has nothing to do with I don't think it has anything to do with my hobby or happiness or anything like that. But this certainly isn't weighing on my mind. I'm figuring things out very quickly. And the fact that I gave this up as quick as I did means that I know what works and what doesn't work. And despite the fact that I keep going back to the well so many times to try to find creative juices and just try to find something, whatever I can get out of this software, because I love the software. I love Run8. It has so much potential, and would I love to see it realized, but it's just not there. Last night for 2 hours, originally I was going to do Run8. Instead, I just kept going with Kerbal Space Program. I told my son, I says, hey, if you want, I'll keep running it for a couple hours. And he said, okay. He didn't care. He didn't mind. Told him today, he said, hey, yeah, I made orbit with the two tourists. You might be thinking, like, what the hell am I talking about? What the hell's that have anything to do with anything? Well, that's the program of choice that my son and I do right now. And it's what's been basically taking whatever little creative juice I have and allow me to enjoy my fascination for space. And it's fun, and it's very deep. There's so much in this program yet to explore. There's so much yet to do. I'm only in the beginning phases of it, and we were spending the longest time trying. We knew how to get to orbit. We knew how to get a stable orbit. What we had difficulty with was the technology we had was to be able to get passengers to orbit with us. We had the passenger capsule, but the problem was it brought weight to the craft, and all of a sudden we had a difficult time achieving orbit. So we either had unstable aircraft or stuff like that. And then I went back to a different rocket, a little less power, and they say a little less power sometimes is better, and sure enough, less power, better fuel efficiency. Well, guess what? I was able to get a stable orbit, and I'm going to do a few tests later tonight. Hell, I might even do a live stream. Maybe I won't. My son likes doing live streams, but honestly, I don't think that's interested in your audience, in the audience that I have. The only reason I would do live streams for Kerbal Space Program is if my son wasn't around and I wanted to keep my son up to date to what I was doing. So I'll have to talk to him about that. But yeah, do check this post out if you haven't seen it already. I'm not going to read it to you. It's here. I mean, it's pretty sad. Scott, he's in the same boat as me. I think there's a lot of people in the same boat as me and Scott. they may not be as vocal about it because they probably have lives and they have other things to do. They have other hobbies. Maybe they have more friends. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's, you know, between work and not having any relationships other than my son. There's that big void in there, and that big void used to be filled with Run8. It was totally filled with it. And the only thing I started thinking to myself this week was, as I was trying to schedule Run8 into my free time, was, well, what if I want to do this, or what if I want to do something on my own, or what if my son wants to see me, or not wants to see me, but what if, you know, my ex needs, you know, saying, hey, you know, my son can spend some extra time with me on this and that day. It throws the whole plan into kibosh. And I started realizing that. I thought, you know, this isn't like the old days of the RTS server. Because the RTS server, what used to happen was I'd have the other machine, and I would just let it run, and people would run on it. If I couldn't run it, well, other people would run it. This was a totally different one. This was back into the days before 24/7, where I used to have plenty of time on my hands. And I used to be able to schedule a lot of different things. This is different. This was now me trying to schedule things and realizing I was probably taking on a little bit too much. But that was the only way things were going to get done. If I took it, I couldn't even get 24 hours in a week. I think I barely got 12 or 14 figured out, and that was probably not going to be enough to even make a dent on Bakersfield. So, and that's the problem with such a big route. And unfortunately, there hasn't been anything new that's come up, but I don't fault the Run18 for that. They're doing what they got to do. They got to run a business. So it is what it is. Anyways, I think I hear my son moving upstairs, so he's probably coming down. So I'm going to end this as it is now. I might be back later with Kerbal Space Program, who knows. But I'm going to discourage him not to do a live stream. I'll mention it. We'll talk about a few things. I'd rather just have our own time to ourselves, and people aren't interested in it anyway. So I don't know what we're going to be doing with the channel at this point. Like I said, this could be the death nail now, as far as I'm concerned. I just don't know what else to do. It's kind of sad in a way, but in a way it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a relief to know that I finally came, you know, I gave it my all. I certainly gave it a shot. I've given this multiple shots. And who knows, I'll be back, especially if a new route comes out that's more appealing and something I can handle. So we'll see what happens. Till then, I'm signing off. You guys have yourself a good winter. I could be back tomorrow. I could be back tonight. You never know. But I thought I'd just throw that out there and, you know, spread the word. You want some community? Well, the only way community is people have to start talking to each other. That's the way community works. And I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to get people to talk, but nobody's listening. Have a good one. See ya.